and welcome to Flix Anonymous on CKNW.com, a CKNW original podcast. This is episode 27. I'm Steve Stebbing.
I'm Trevor Dewick. You gotta get that out.
Yeah, no, I almost said Stevel Dead. I almost just said my handle. So
I like your handle.
Hold on.
Stevel Dead.
Hold on. We need the real names to be taken credibly.
We should just make up new names.
Really? I'm kind of been attached to this one for
I want to be
35
Hans.
years. Of course you do. You sound like, what, like
Hans.
Like Gruber?
Oh, sure, but I'll just be Hans, like I'll have an accent. I talk like this.
Where's your accent from, man?
I don't know, it's many different places.
Right?
Okay,
You're just like a
I just want to have
mutt.
Yes, a European mutt.
There we go. But yeah, I mean, this is episode 27. Not a lot opening this week. We have two wide releases that they kind of staggered a little bit, and one limited. But as far as the day that we're recording this on, it'd be really bad form if we didn't acknowledge that today is the 40th anniversary of Star Wars being released.
Yeah, see, we celebrate Star Wars twice this month.
Yeah, well, May the 4th seems like a created, just like a fan service one, really, because there's no actual significance with the date besides May the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no significance to that number at all. And you don't exactly have this May the 4th, what year, what year were we celebrating? You know what I mean? Like how long have we been doing May the 4th for?
Yeah.
So
it's just interesting that there's two holidays.
I feel like this is the one that really matters, though, because this is the day that it was first kind of unleashed into theaters for the general public to kind of absorb, and then became the phenomenon that it is. Because I don't even think Star Trek can lay a claim to everything that Star Wars has done.
Does Star Trek have a day?
No, do they?
I don't know. Maybe. Trekkies out there, do you have a special day to call your own?
I feel like we're starting
Probably
a war.
Not.
We're definitely starting a war.
Star Wars has two.
Yeah.
In the same bloody month.
We're almost starting a Star War with that.
Oh,
really.
Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. So should we just head into it? This first movie opened, it's already open now, as we're recording this. They wanted to get, I guess, the extra day jump on the weekend. It is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Zac Efron in a reimagining of the TV show Baywatch. And, Baywatch was like a very vapid TV show about, Hasselhoff and Pamela Anderson running around in bathing suits. And it's kind of like, well, who really wants to see this is what the question was posed to me today when I was doing my radio spot. And I said, well, I mean, who wanted to see 21 Jump Street make the leap to the big screen? You know what I mean? And we ended up liking that movie quite a bit. And, they made a sequel that was successful as well.
Yeah.
So I think for that reason, I had at least some expectations riding on Baywatch to be fun. I like The Rock. He usually brings presence to his roles, and Zac Efron is way funnier than he has any right to be.
Yeah,
honestly.
But he keeps playing the same character.
He really, really does. And Baywatch has had potential. Like, it had potential to be fun, but instead it just goes for mediocrity. Like, every chance it gets, it goes for the low joke. It goes for
dick jokes constantly.
Lots of dick jokes. Oh, for sure. And that's something that's kind of common with the two wide releases this week. Is dick and ball jokes, essentially. There's just so many issues because it could have been okay. But I mean, you have like 12 writers on this freaking movie.
Yeah.
And it just too many cooks in the kitchen. And just like, it just felt like people are riffing. They're like, oh, I want to see Zac Efron in drag. Oh, I want to see like some weird shit leak into his mouth. Oh, I want to, you know what I mean? It was just like a compound. It felt like a bunch of Post-it notes on a board. We've got to get to these pieces.
But at the same time, it wants you to take it seriously. It walks that line between, taking it seriously and being completely absurd.
Yes.
Like, pick one. Also, it's an R-rated film. Mm-hmm. If you got an R rating, I want to see you push the limits of that R rating. Yeah. That seemed like more of a PG-13 film for me.
Yeah, I mean,
except for a couple of
Canada,
dicks.
Yeah, especially here in Canada. It felt very tame, and it just a horrendously bad third act, like horrendously bad. Like who cares? By the time like all is said and done, it's just like who cares? They also make a point of adding of kind of focusing on John Bass's character who plays Ronnie, the kind of the out of shape kid.
Poor man Jonah Hill.
Exactly. They make a real point of establishing him and establishing like his want for the new CJ, which is who Pamela Anderson played in the original, but now is played by Kelly Rohrbach. And they make this real point of like, oh, he really wants to get this girl. And then they forget about them for the majority of the middle of the movie. Like, you do not see Ronnie, you do not see CJ, except for fleeting shots throughout the middle of the movie. And all of a sudden they bring them back at the end of the movie, and just, we don't care anymore. We honestly don't care anymore.
Look, the show went from 1989 to 2001. I get that it was it was great for pubescent, boys.
Mm-hmm. It even got a spin-off, too.
Yeah. And I get that Hollywood wants to, reach into the deep recesses of our minds and find that, really dark, show that we used to watch, cheesy show that we used to watch back in the 80s and 90s and put it on the big screen. But it doesn't always work. You need great writing. You need a great cast. Mm-hmm. And honestly, they should have went all out with being as crazy and kooky as possible. I just felt like they held back. And like you said, they went with the obvious joke, the obvious setup with the obvious punchline. And it just, they even stole a gag from Something About Mary with the penis being stuck in the chair.
Yep.
Even though in Something About Mary it was the penis stuck in the zipper, but it was the same sort of setup and everything. And it just, I don't know. It just didn't work, man. It was just a really crappy movie.
I mean, and we're being agreed with all across the board because it's a 19%.
Yeah.
Like, it's doing bad. It's getting eviscerated. I don't think we need to focus on it anymore. I'm going to say it's a 1.5 out of 5 for me. That just
on the Daily Hive, I gave it a 2 out of 5. It's not even a stoner flick. You could have as much weed as you want, and this movie won't be good.
Yeah, it's just not very good. And it's unfortunate because I really do want to like projects The Rock does, but I mean, that's just because I like him as a person, really. So,
and the director, he did King of Kong.
Yes,
which I love.
So far removed from King of Kong by now. He's done 2 Horrible Bosses movies. He did Identity Thief. Like, he's done so much since that like really awesome documentary that put him on the map.
And he hasn't written any of those films.
No,
he just directs them. He's just like director for hire. Here's a stupid comedy. Let's get him.
Maybe that's the goal at a certain point, is once you get into the studio system, just find a way to stay there. Be the yes man. And, good on him for making money, I guess, right? All right, speaking of making money, let's talk about Johnny Depp taking a paycheck. Let's talk about Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. We have Johnny Depp returning, Jeffrey Rush. We even have Orlando Bloom returning to bookend the movies as well. The new people added to this one is this Australian kid that seems to pop up in every movie now, Brenton Thwaites. It's kind of the new...
is he the new It Boy?
I kind of... Like, they're really trying to force this kid, honest, because he was in that movie The Giver. Like, there's a bunch of movies that he did. He's just like this tentpole good-looking kid that they want to throw.
He's okay. He's all right.
I've never been astounded by him yet.
Me neither.
I think there was an Ethan Hawke Ewan McGregor gunrunner movie that he did called Son of a Gun. It was pretty good. But I mean, otherwise, I don't know. There's just nothing really to this kid. But the thing that's interesting about this one is Javier Bardem.
Yes.
Who comes in as the villain, Salazar, who is basically he was screwed over by a young Jack Sparrow, sent into a really bad cursed area of the map, and kind of like is supposed to live out his days in this cove, taking out whatever comes by until he's released by Sparrow, just being basically a greedy idiot.
Yeah.
And I mean, this movie is incredibly predictable. It's just really just about getting fan service. That's exactly what this movie is all about. For me, I've enjoyed the original trilogy quite a bit.
Yes.
Stranger Tides was okay.
Yeah.
It's the main thread between all these ones that I feel is the fun escapism as watching a Pirates movie, really, because there's no other. I don't feel Hollywood in any other shape or form are trying to do these type of movies. So Disney keeps trying. This one feels like the end. This one feels like it's over.
I hope so.
And I mean, I was entertained just by how fun it is. I really like Jeffrey Rush as Barbossa. I think he is probably one of the bigger draws for me in this one, just because I think he's quite entertaining. But there's something at the end of the movie that I think is just like a nice little piece of closure, especially if you like that first trilogy. But I mean, otherwise, there's really not a lot to this movie. It's just fun. That's it, really.
Yeah, you say predictable. It's very formulaic. This is the fifth one. I can't believe that. And
you
like
you feel that it's the fifth one.
There's a bit of a burnout here, and you could see that burnout with Johnny Depp in this one,
which is really weird because this is definitely his most like known iconic role at this point.
For sure, for doing 5 of them, good for him. But this one, he just looked tired. He looked spent. He didn't have this. He wasn't the same Jack Sparrow, and that when you don't have the guy that you built this franchise around, when he doesn't look interested, the film feels flat. Hey, I'm a sucker for pirates too, man. I love that stuff. I love the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. This one just didn't seem to have that same spark and magic. Maybe it's because this is the 5th one, and it's just there's fatigue now for me. And some of the stuff that went on in the movie, I was like, oh, really, like the sharks, like that.
Yeah, the sharks was a little much. I did really enjoy the guillotine scene.
Yes,
I thought that was great.
That was fun. It was creative.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the element of fun where you're just like, everything's chaotic, and you're just kind of like, all right, I'm kind of into this. But again, a lot of, I'm going to get crap for this one again, genital humor in this movie.
Yeah, that's your thing.
It's my thing.
I call it dick jokes.
Well,
you call it
I was on the radio earlier today, and I just got to pick my words.
Yes.
But apparently that screwed me over in picking my words. But I mean, there's a lot of dick and ball talk. There's even a lot of like, is that your ass or your vagina kind of talk,
which is interesting.
At one point,
it's a Disney movie.
The other thing I felt is between out of all 5 of these movies, this is the most on-screen violent.
Yeah,
that I noticed.
It pushes that PG-13 rating.
I was surprised. I was honestly surprised.
And
I don't see this as you bring your family to this movie. I don't think family movie when I think of this.
No,
movie.
Not this one. Really,
no. And I mean, I feel you're gonna have to start explaining a lot, especially some of the jokes and stuff like that. For me personally, one of my favorite parts of the movie, and is the there's a cameo in this movie, and it's so throwaway and whatever, but it just the way they presented it, I really liked it. Was the Paul McCartney cameo? It actually really got me. I thought it was quite funny,
which I didn't realize. And you had told me earlier that it was filmed in Vancouver.
Yes, and he did that in Vancouver before he played Rogers Arena.
That's interesting because if people don't know, the film was originally going to be filmed in Australia, and I think entirely. It mostly was until Johnny had that issue with his dog and then some other stuff, and then I guess they picked Vancouver to like the studio, not outside, but in the studio.
There's no outside. It was all done on. I think Rayton Burnaby there at Mammoth Studios. There, they did a lot of it. They did Paul McCartney's part, and they did sizable reshoots as well, which screams script problems. But yeah, I mean, you'll never tell that it was filmed in Vancouver.
There's
very much.
You don't see like Canada Place in the background or Science World,
right? Yeah. So I mean, it doesn't really matter in the end that it was filmed out here. It's just that interesting tidbit of, hey, they came out here and Paul McCartney's cameo was done out here. And yeah, he's probably one of my favorite parts of the movie, honestly. It was that little tiny Paul McCartney scene. You had a Rolling Stone in it. Now let's throw a Beatle in it just to close things up. Yeah. But you know what? I hope this is the end. A lot of critics are hoping this is the end. It's a 31% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not. Like I said, it was fun. It's a 3 out of 5 for me.
Oh, so we agree. I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. I thought you were going to give it a higher.
No.
So yeah, you know what? Now listening to you, it sounds like you're about the same as me. It was fun, but it's meddling. It's not the best Pirates film for sure.
Like I said when I was posting my little, because I do post a little poster on Instagram and Twitter beforehand, and I said, I'm just going to have fun with this one, and then the sourness of my film critic can come tomorrow. You know what I mean? It's just like, let's just like let it wash over me. I can kind of feel like a moviegoer and then I can I can.
That's
think
what we
about
try
it.
to do. To be honest, you have
That's what I tried to do with Covenant. I really tried to do it
with Alien Covenant.
Oh my god, did I ever?
That was tough.
Oh yeah, and maybe because my expectations in this were middle to low, which they were with Covenant, so it's not a really fair comparison. Maybe that's why I had fun. I'm not sure.
Also, you're just a mark.
Yeah,
for,
I'm a mark for pirates. Yeah. Who didn't want to be a pirate?
I wanted to be a pirate.
I see all these characters and the especially Jack with his braids and all that stuff, and I'm like, that's so cool. Like, I like that. So I don't know. But yeah, it looks like we landed on the same page for that one. Let's hit our one limited release this week. It is Paris Can't Wait, starring Diane Lane and Alec Baldwin. And this is interesting enough. And I made a mistake last week when I was pumping this one up. I said that it was another Coppola daughter. I was wrong.
Oh,
this is Francis Ford Coppola's wife, Eleanor.
What?
Yes, it's his wife. She's making her first narrative film debut. She's made documentaries before. She's made 2 amazing documentaries. She made one called Hearts of Darkness, which was about Coppola making Apocalypse Now and losing his mind. Yeah. And if any cinephile out there has not seen this movie, you need to see Hearts of Darkness, a filmmaker's apocalypse, because it is incredible. It may make you want to make a movie. It may make you never want to even touch this piece of celluloid in your entire life. Like, it is so crazy. And then she made Coda, which is the making of Youth Without Youth, which was Coppola's first film in like 15 years or something like that, which was a big deal too. But now she makes this narrative film about Diane Lane's character, who is married to Alec Baldwin, who's this Hollywood executive. And he basically ignores her all the time. So she kind of like feels like, I need like the second birth of my life, and I need to feel like I'm like a human being again. So she basically leaves him and goes off on her own little adventure through France.
Oh, nice.
So you can feel who this is going to appeal to, especially with Diane Lane. This is going to appeal to the Under the Tuscan Sun audience and all this kind of stuff. Yes. It's middling. It's doing really kind of mid grade right now. It's a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes and it's even 50% on Metascore. So I mean, it's a shaky ground, but good on Eleanor for later in her career actually going to making like a different sort of film and actually writing it herself as well. So
that's interesting. And Alec Baldwin's getting a lot of work these days.
Yes. Yeah. Do you think it's the Trump thing that's getting him more work, or is it just the fact that he is that name that has transcended like 3 decades now?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about the Trump stuff, but definitely he's had success throughout his career, especially on television.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. So I believe that one you're going to be able to see at the Fifth Avenue Theater. So if you want to check out Paris Can Wait, that's the only place you're going to see it in Vancouver.
Well, I'll wait on that one.
There you go.
Maybe
Trevor Can Wait.
Yeah, I'll watch it on Netflix or something.
There you go. Yeah. Alrighty. So let's move to our Netflix and VOD recommendations. And mine was just like an easy pick as soon as you see what is out on Blu-ray this week. Actually, both that and my stoner pick are very, very easy. If you have not seen Logan yet, this is the perfect opportunity now that you can own it on Blu-ray.
Or rent it on VOD.
This is going to be one that if you rent it, you're probably going to want to watch it again because it just has that value to it. I believe the Blu-ray also has a black and white version on it as well.
Oh,
so that's a selling feature right now because
I'm gonna go pick that up,
especially with the black and chrome version of Mad Max Fury Road,
which I haven't seen.
It's so gorgeous. It's just. I feel like maybe the general audience can get behind black and white a little bit and feel the different atmosphere that it brings. And I think Logan is another one that kind of lends itself to that as well, because it is a very moody film.
Dark.
Like 100% moody. I mean, we all know Hugh Jackman is so good as Wolverine. This is the swan song for him on this one. This is the final time we'll see him play Wolverine as far as we know.
As far as we know. Maybe not on a... Maybe he might come back in a cameo maybe one day.
And Patrick Stewart says he's done being Professor X. I mean, he's getting older now. I can see him being like, okay, it's time to move on. But I want to address two people who really stand out in Logan to me. One is Daphne Keane.
Yes.
As Laura, X-23, who is just an almost silent performance in this movie, who's just so incredible at just giving off atmosphere and emotion. She is so good in this movie.
She's got that it factor for sure.
She does. Yeah. And apparently, the auditions are on the Blu-ray as well. And apparently she bruised Hugh Jackman with her audition. Like a lot of feisty punches and stuff like that in her audition. That's why she got the role.
Oh, there you go.
The other one I want to address is kind of the main villain of the movie, Boyd Holbrook, who is just so good in this film.
He's okay.
I really, really dug him. I think he brought that southern tough guy who is kind of like the second in command that's really trying to prove himself.
He was kind of like Val Kilmer in Tombstone.
Yeah, Val Kilmer was really
I'll
good.
Be your Huckleberry.
Really good in Tombstone. But I think Boyd Holbrook has a good future ahead of him. Logan is a nice start to that one for sure. You'll see him again in The Predator as the lead in that movie. I think good things for Boyd Holbrook. And although he's not in the movie a lot, Stephen Merchant as Caliban is really, really good too.
Yeah,
so, especially as a comedic actor to take a role like this, kind of this, because of his mutant powers, a reclusive and isolated mutant. And I really enjoyed him in the movie. And this movie is just like a combination of great writing, great direction, and great acting.
And violence. Rated R violence.
Extreme
Finally.
R violence.
Seeing Wolverine like you remembered him in the comics, now on the silver screen. Not PG or PG-13 version. Rated R. So again, not for kids.
No, not for kids. Do not pick this one up for your kids. But definitely pick up Logan.
All right. Mine's a Netflix recommendation, and I haven't even seen it. But I'm bringing it to the show because it just dropped on Netflix as we're recording this, and I'll watch it tonight. But I want to let people know that a movie called War Machine, directed by David Michaud, who also did a film called, is it Michaud or Michaud?
Michaud.
Yeah, Michaud. I got that right. He also did a film called Animal Kingdom 2010. It's an Australian
really
film.
good, and it spawned a TV show in the US.
Yeah,
and he did The Rover, which is really good too.
Nice. Yeah. So War Machine, starring Brad Pitt, Tilda Swinton, Ben Kingsley, Anthony Michael Hall, Topher Grace is in this as well. And it's a satire. It's a comedy about America's role in Afghanistan back in around, I think, 2009. And it's based on a book called The Operator, The Wild and Terrifying Inside Story of America's War in Afghanistan. Can you imagine putting that as a title of a book?
Netflix would make it work somehow, but I'm glad that War Machine's our title.
I'm glad we're just going with War Machine, yeah. And so anyway, it's an inside look of America's involvement in Afghanistan, but it's a satire and it's supposed to be funny. And the conflict is viewed from the perspective of the men leading the military campaign, like Brad Pitt. And people are calling this Netflix's first big budget film that you can stay home and watch, but you made it known to me, actually, they've got that wrong.
They do.
It's ridiculous because Ridiculous 6 was actually technically the first.
They share the same size budget.
Weird.
Is it the fact that Brad Pitt did this one? They're just like, oh, we better pump this one as the biggest one we've ever done. Because it's a lie.
I think it's just because of all the actors involved. I think it's a serious, not serious, it's comedy, but it's, it's like you said, because Brad Pitt's probably involved. They want to market it as super awesome. It's kind of funny because I guess with current politics right now, 2009's craziness kind of gets trumped by what's kind of going on in today's era. So, but apparently Brad Pitt is very solid in this. Right now it's mixed reviews. Some critics love it.
Right now,
yeah, some critics absolutely love it. Others hate it. There's not really an in-between.
It's a divide right now because it's at a 58 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, and if you read some of the reviews, and I read a few of them, and some people just were saying that it's so cleverly written. They said Brad Pitt is excellent. The dialogue's very good in this. It's funny. Other people think it doesn't do enough.
The common word I'm seeing is uneven execution.
Uneven execution.
Yeah,
okay.
So that's not acting. That's Michaud.
That's just
basically on Michaud and producers' shoulders.
Yeah, so give this one a try. I'm going to give it a try tonight.
Sure,
and let us know how it is. It's called War Machine on Netflix.
Beautiful. So let's move to what I talked about before, the stoner picks.
Yes.
Some of our favorite things, and we're heading into a weekend and everything, as we usually are, and it's about time to, just kind of
burn one down,
let that work week kind of melt off you. And mine is just like a massively successful, both critically and with the audience, suspense thriller is what I'm calling it. Everyone, they would like to call it a horror, but I have a big problems calling it a horror. And it's
a comedy.
It's like
satire.
It's satire for
it
sure.
Is, yeah.
It is Jordan Peele's directorial debut called Get Out, with Daniel Kaluuya in it and Allison Williams, Bradley Whitford and Catherine Keener. This movie, it had so much hype ahead of it, and sometimes hype can absolutely kill. Just absolutely kill, because you just overdone it in your mind. You're just like, okay, I'm ready for the best thing I've ever seen. And I did not head into it like it was going to be the best thing I ever seen, because I don't want to put that out there.
No.
But I head into it like there's a lot of good buzz. A lot of people like this. A lot of reputable people like this film. So let's see what it's all about. And Get Out is essentially about a black man going to his white girlfriend's rich family home for the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to give it that, because, if you haven't seen this movie, if you don't know a lot about this movie, go into it just knowing that, and know that it obviously plays on racial stereotypes and overtones.
Yes.
This movie is smart, incredibly smart, really great dialogue. And even though you feel like you know where the story is going, it still manages to keep you on the edge of your seat in a bunch of key sequences. And Daniel Kaluuya, who some people may know from an episode of Black Mirror, this guy is awesome. He's really, really good. His best friend, Rod, in the movie is somebody I really dug too.
He's great. He actually has some of the best scenes in the film.
He really does. Yeah. And just everyone just brings this, everyone around him, especially when he gets to the country home, just brings this great campy creepiness to it. And I think that's where this movie succeeds. And Jordan Peele, I didn't know he had this in his twisted mind. Like, this is really interesting stuff, and I can't wait to see what he's going to bring out next. I mean, this movie trended for a long time at 99% certified on Rotten Tomatoes.
I would have voted for Obama again.
There's some really, really great lines.
I like Tiger Woods.
It's just like people trying to relate to another race, and it's so awkward. It's so awkward because there's no way that you can do that isn't painful. Yeah. Really, that's the thing. So I really dug Get Out. I know people. I know people that like these genre type movies have really enjoyed that. And if you hadn't got an opportunity to check it out in theaters, especially with all the word of mouth, now is your chances on VOD and Blu-ray now.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Definitely, yeah. I dig that one so much.
So there's a show that I just started watching on Crave that some people had been talking about in the past, and I'm 2 episodes in, and it's called The Expanse. It's filmed in Toronto, actually.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Yeah, and it takes place about 200 years in the future when Mars and Earth are on the brink of war. And although it's a sci-fi thriller, it kind of plays like a detective noir.
Okay.
It's a case of this missing Harris. She brings a hardened detective and a rogue ship's captain together to solve what turns out to be a conspiracy spanning the entire solar system. And what I've really appreciated about this show so far is the production value. A lot of sci-fi shows you watch and the production value is kind of takes away from it.
Yeah.
This one is all about production value. The effects, the sets, everything is just spot on. It's really, really well done. It's a little bit of a hard, convoluted story to understand at first. But what I've been told is as every episode goes on, you start to piece things together. And by the time it ends, you kind of figured out what's going on. And it sets up the next season, which apparently is even better than the first one. I think right now it's at a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes for season 2. Yeah. And people are saying this is even better than the first season. So if you can get through the first few episodes of this show, stick with it because there's apparently some great payoffs and it, very well written, good acting, for a sci-fi channel show, very solid. and it's on Crave right now if you don't have the Sci-Fi Channel.
I'm hearing actually comparisons to Battlestar Galactica.
Similar.
Yeah, that's what I
Similar.
hear.
Dan,
I hear.
yeah,
Well, I mean, as
understand
far as like the addictive, because you remember how everyone was jumping on board with Battlestar, and it was just like, oh, you're not watching Battlestar? Like, The Expanse is like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You're hearing more and more people talk about it, right?
Definitely.
And so, yeah, I gave it a try. So if you have Crave, I recommend it. Also on Crave is...
I know. When you were originally going to say it's on Crave, I was like, Twin Peaks?
The new Twin Peaks, which you got to be excited about.
4 episodes. I've watched the first 3. Oh, my God. Yeah. Oh my God. And of course that show is shot as it's going to be 18 episodes. It's all shot like an 18-hour movie. So
yeah.
Woo.
You know, it's kind of cool to have Crave and Netflix. You really don't need cable,
right?
No.
Yeah. Just cut that one off.
Yeah,
for sure. Cut it off at the teat,
except for sports.
Yeah. You know, sports and sports entertainment and everybody.
Yeah.
All right. So that is us for this week.
That's us.
Really, yeah, that's
you
pretty much it. Yeah, it's just you and me, 3 movies and some recommendations. That's
the way it should be.
That's how it goes this week. That's episode 27 in a nutshell.
No German foreign films or North Korean. Wait, they would never make foreign films, would they? It would be South Korea.
North Korean, yeah, no, they make propaganda films.
That's right. None of those today.
No, we get a foreign film next week.
Oh,
and I'll get to that in 1 second. Thank you everybody for listening to us at Flix Anonymous. Of course, you can find all of our episodes on cknw.com as well as the League of Man Children.com. You can find our show on Facebook at facebook.com/FlixAnon and on Twitter at FlixAnon. I am on Twitter at The Steeple Dead.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at TrevDuick. Give me a follow.
And again, only 3 movies next week. Just a short 3 movies.
We can talk to each other and not feel rushed.
Right? Yes, exactly. It'll be much like this episode was. One of those movies, the big movie of next week is the DC Universe rolling out another one and hopefully trying to find a successful film that lasts more than a week or 2 at the top spot.
Yeah.
We get a children's animated film based on a pretty popular kids book.
Yes.
And finally, one of those Oscar-nominated foreign films, the one that we've been really hoping to talk about basically kids unearthing mines in World War II.
Oh, they're actually finally screening this movie.
Yes, it's June 2nd.
Wow.
Fingers crossed. June 2nd at Fan City. It's finally going to play. We'll finally get to give our review. It's actually one of my favorites in the last while. I really, really dug this movie. So I'm very excited to talk about that next week. So that'll be on episode 28 of Flix Anonymous, which you can find right on cknw.com, a CKNW original podcast. Thank you, everybody, and we'll catch you next week.
Hey, you crazy cinephiles. Thanks for listening to Flix Anonymous. Feel free to send us nasty and abusive social media messages on Twitter at FlixAnon. If you need more characters to tell us how much we suck, you can find Flix Anonymous on Facebook.